For this video, I want to show two ways to find the population standard deviation. We're given this set of data, and one of the first things that you want to do is find the mean. So I've already done that. I made a note of it over here. Finding the mean of the population is the same thing as finding a mean of a sample. We would add the data values together and divide by 5 in this case, since there's 5 total pieces of data. Next, I'm going to organize my information in a chart form so that I can work with this formula from the inside out. So notice that each piece of data, we need to subtract the mean. So in my next column here, I'm going to write x sub I minus 27. So it's the same thing as saying 10 minus 27 and then calculating that to be negative 17. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in the rest of those values. And you can see I've just done that here. So I'm going to extend this, make another column where I take this information and I square it. So again, thinking about the formula, working from the inside out. In other words, I want to calculate negative 17 squared, which is positive 289. So I'm going to do that for each of these values in this column next. And I just filled in that column here. So what we've done so far from this formula is this piece. So the next thing that we want to do is sum this column. So I'm going to move down just a little bit for some space. And let's add up the values in this column. And I got 682. After that, notice that to find the population standard deviation, we would take this 682, that's what we have here in the numerator, and divide by the total number of data in the population, which in this case is 5. So that would be the same thing as the square root of 136.4. And let me turn to my calculator. And that's where I get this population standard deviation of 11.68 when I round to 2 decimal places, as indicated here in the instructions. So I could do that this long way, and it is not too terribly long because I only have 5 pieces of data. But in reality, you'll have many more pieces of data in your business setting or professional setting if you end up using this type of statistics. So you want to know other ways to calculate this. And even if you're thinking, I'm not going to do that kind of stuff with my business, you may still want to know how to do this to get through problems quickly on a test, on a timed test. So what I did was I went to Stat, Edit, and you can see here I already have the data in the list. And if I come back to Stat and scroll over to the right to highlight the Calc menu, select the first option, 1var Stats. L1 by default is already listed here, and that's where my data is. So I'm just going to come down to Calculate, press Enter, and I have a lot of information. But you can see that sigma, the population standard deviation, is right here. So you can find it fairly quickly, and even with longer list with accuracy, just by using your calculator. If you're, just for comparison real quick, notice that S sub x, that's the sample standard deviation, is written above. So sometimes you might be asked for the sample standard deviation, sometimes for the population. So there is a difference of these two in their notation here, even in the calculator. There are some other methods that the textbook highlights, like for instance, using Excel or using StatCrunch. So I encourage you to watch those videos if you're interested in using that technology to calculate standard deviation.